there, and this is Auntie, and I am coming to you with a review on a new television show that is on the OWN network called Released. Released is about 6 individuals who were incarcerated, and it shows or chronicles their life as they come back into society and come back with their families after being away from them for multiple years. Heart-wrenching, it is thought-provoking, and I thought, who better to review this than Auntie? If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. For all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and joining the family. And to all my lifers, my nieces and nephews who've been with Auntie for the long haul, thank you so much for being here. If I had from A to an F, I would give it an absolute A+. For someone who has had someone in their family incarcerated, it gives you an insight on how people feel on both ends of the spectrum. Both those who have been outside of the family for a while and the family who has been left behind to pick up the pieces of their lives. If I had to sing a song that would encapsulate this episode for me, it would be a change. A change has come over me. He changed my life, and now I'm free. Everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? Having one, it just would be nice. 'Cause everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? So welcome to Auntie's Advice. The first person we see is Kevin Carr. He is 48 years old. Kevin's inmate number was CA45539. He had 2 previous felonies on the record for armed robbery. His 3rd strike, which caused him to serve those 19-20 years in jail, was that he was in a store. He stole $160 worth of children's clothing and got into an altercation with a security officer. As a result of that, when he went to court, the judge was like, "Sir, you're getting 20 years for this crime." Kevin goes on to say that he did not believe that this would be the thing that would send him away as a lifer. And he was shocked. He believed that when he was in jail, he felt like he had no hope. He was incarcerated on 12/11 of 1997, and he was just released. Being in jail, he said that he knew that he had disappointed his family. He had 2 young children. We'll later on go on to discuss them. And he was 27 when he went to jail. We open up this episode by seeing Kevin's 3 cousins coming to the jail to get him. They're excited. They are singing a little song, you know, Kevin's getting out and everything. We see Maria, who I think is like the lead person in the family as far as picking him up from jail. He served time in San Quentin, California, and she was saying that, you know, before he went to jail, that he was a big support to the family. And I found that really strange because he was on drugs by his own admission, and he had committed these armed robberies. So I just was, you know, I thought maybe there were some other redeeming characters to him that we had not heard about or will probably hear about later. We also see his cousin Dawn and his cousin Christy, who are at the jail. And at this particular jail, they had a van that dropped him off. He ran over to his cousins and saying, "It's over, it's over, it's over," and they hug him and they cry. At that time, they talk to him and they're like, "Come on, we're going to take selfies," and they have their cell phones and everything, and he stands and he smiles for the picture. He has to kind of take everything in. Everything is kind of going fast, and they're cackling like three little hens, and because they're so excited that he's out. I thought that it was really endearing and cute, but you could see that Kevin was struggling within himself, just trying to process everything that had happened to him. And so we see them call someone on the phone, and they give him the phone, and he's just holding it, and they're like, talk, and he doesn't really know how to talk, because he doesn't even know how to use a cell phone. And I thought something that we all take for granted, something that we all know about, something that we all have watched technology expand over time, from cell phones being hooked up only in the car to now being the lifeline of your life. He didn't even know how to operate it. He said, "I didn't know." He says that coming out of jail is like going into a foreign country. Everything is foreign to him, because while he was in jail, he thought that life would stop, but he realizes that life has continued to go on. And he realizes that a lot has changed in the world. They have stats that go on throughout the episode, and it says that every week over 10,000 men and women are released from prison. So every week we have 10,000 people, 50,000 people in 5 days, 70,000 people who are released from jail for multiple different years, who are out of touch with what is going on in our society. And we see a lot of things that happen in our society, and we wonder why. And it's because we have these disconnected, disjointed people who are coming into our society, in and out of the prison system, and don't really know how to connect to us, how to make the adjustment. They get in the car and they're about to pull off, and he's like, "Wait a minute, just stop. I gotta process everything." There were so many parts of me that wanted to cry. That wanted to cry for the 27-year-old boy he was, and now the 48-year-old man that he is, totally being separated from a society that has moved on. And I just could feel for him that although they were rejoicing, in the inside he really did not have the ability to even rejoice at that time. He had to process so much, being in society now, being in a car. And I thought, wow, I can't imagine being incarcerated and away from my family for 19, 20 years. There was also another stat that said black men are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than their white counterparts. You have to wonder about a system that is quick to incarcerate and separate black families. But we also have to think about a society of people who are willing to do crimes that will cause them to be separated from their families. This show is absolutely thought-provoking. It makes you think on every side of the spectrum. My heart bled for Kevin as he walked into the restaurant. They went to go and have breakfast, and the waiter came over, and of course, his cousin, they're still really excited, not really processing that they kind of need to slow walk him. But I'm not blaming them. But the waiter comes over, and they talk about what should he get off of the menu, and they say, well, it's the chicken and waffles that usually is what people order here, and he says eggs, and then he goes on to talk about bacon. But even as he walked into the restaurant, his instincts, his sensitivity to noise, to smells, to everything, he talked about the food, the aroma of food being in the restaurant, and he also talked about the clanging of dishes. His senses were on an all-time high, because being in a jail, in a prison, like he said, with a mattress that's 3 inches thick and cemented walls, it gives you a sensitivity, because most of the time I'm sure that he's in complete silence at night, having to be told when to eat, when to sleep, when to bathe, when to do everything, when the lights are going out, when it's time to go to sleep, not having a luxury like we do of having cell phones ringing and telephones going off and televisions being on and all that kind of stuff. The street noise from the children and laughter in the street, from cars and ambulances going back and forth. He didn't have all of that. So coming out of jail, his senses were just completely and totally heightened, almost like a man who has lost his sight. And really, in so many ways, he really has lost his sight. He's lost sight of what has happened in society, who he is, how he is to be, what he is to become. Oh my God, like this show was, oh my God. He said in jail that the most delicious meal for him was the milk, an apple, and a banana. All 3 of which I can't stand, but that's not the point. The point is that he said he couldn't even compare the food. He hasn't had a piece of bacon in 20 years. I eat bacon almost every day. It really lets you see the stark contrast and the consequences that your action, that living a life that is not the best life, it can cost you everything. And at 40 years old, he's halfway over the hump to his life expectancy years, and he spent most of it behind bars. Imagine what he absolutely could have been. We see them talk about his children. He had a daughter. Her name was Donisha. When he went to jail, she was 2. So right now she's 22. And he had a son whose name is Kevin Jr., who was 6 years old when he went to jail, who is now 26 years old. They lived their life without a father. What could their lives have been had he been there? I don't know what it would have taken to rehabilitate him. He said that while he was in jail in 2006, he committed his life to God and he became a minister in the jail. But would he have done that had he been in the streets? I wonder what their lives would have been had he not been incarcerated. But the thing about it is, would he have changed, or would he have continued to live the life that he was living, robbing people and stealing other people's goods, getting into altercations? Would he have changed? Would he have been a detriment to their life as opposed to a blessing? One never knows, but we do know that he has spent this time in jail, and that, you know, as a result of it, he's really trying to get his life together. This is just really, really sad. I mean, he said that in 2006, he rededicated his life to God, and he started studying and became an ordained minister in jail, which a lot of men do. He realizes that his family members will remember the old Kevin, the one who was on jail and the one who was gang banging or doing whatever he was doing, and that he wants to first apologize to them. He understands that it's going to be a long road. His cousin tells him, you know, there's going to be a lot of hurdles that you're going to have to jump over, and a lot of rocks that are going to be stumbling, and that everyone makes mistakes. And I understand that everybody makes mistakes, but everybody doesn't make a mistake that causes them to go be incarcerated. So the next person that we see is Jermaine Jeter. Jeter. He's 46 years old. He served 19 years in jail. His inmate number was 0630541. He was incarcerated on 10/6 of 1998. 10/6 of 1998, I was 3 months away from having my almost 19-year-old child. He has a daughter by the name of Auntie Jeter. She's 24 years old. She goes on to say that she was a daddy's girl, but she absolutely could care less about him. And then he has a son by the name of Darius, who is her half-brother. Darius is excited about his dad coming home, and he wants to be reunited with him. He has a son, and he wants his dad to be a part of that life. And Asia, who went through the process of telling us that she could care less if her father did another 10 years. See, the father was incarcerated for second-degree murder and for attempted murder of her mother. She says that she was a little girl and she remembers waking up and seeing a dead body laying in the hallway, and she said the police escorted her out of the household and her grandmother took her, and that's, I guess, the life that she probably lived. We haven't heard anything else because this, again, is the first episode about what happened to her mom, but we understand from Jermaine that he was married to her. I noticed one thing, that when Jermaine got out of jail and he gave his own story, that he said that there was an altercation that happened in his household. His wife at the time, which is Asia's mom, had someone in the house which caused his death. I thought that was strange because I thought that you didn't say what it was. You didn't say I murdered a person. You said I was charged with second-degree murder, and that this individual basically caused his own death. Maybe I missed it. Please forgive Auntie if she did. But it was just the way that he said it, as if he was talking in third person, as if this was something that this person had brought upon themselves, or as a result of them being in the house they got murdered. I didn't understand it, and I don't want to take sides quite yet because I don't know the full and total story. I noticed too that Darius, the son, said that he and his half-sister were not close. He doesn't know her story, but he doesn't know what people have said to her. It is not, Darius, what people have said to her. It is what she witnessed as a little girl. Everybody processes everything different. So regardless of Darius, of what people said to her, she witnessed this. She witnessed, as a young child, her mom somebody dead in a hall. What a traumatic experience for anybody, let alone a child. And so I felt like, or I feel like, that there's insensitivity on the other side of the family. She says that, you know, there's a lot of things that has been happening in the family, and that he's closer to the dad's side of the family, as we see from, you know, the sister talking, Ashley, who is excited about Darius reconnecting with Jermaine. And, you know, she says, you know, she knows that he has to do some work, but I just thought it really, really strange. I thought it really, really, really strange. They are in Lexington, North Carolina. Asia lives in Shelby. I am most curious about this story because Darius said there's two sides of a story. Yes, there is two sides of a story. And I'm not saying that people are not incarcerated wrongfully. I'm saying that whatever the evidence was, it was enough to have him in jail for 19 years. And one of the things that Jermaine said was that his favorite group was Public Enemy. They had a lyric in one of their songs that said, "Freedom is the road seldom traveled by the multitudes." He said that freedom took on a new meaning to him when he was given the 19 to 24 year sentence. He says that jail has changed him. Well, I need you to, I know it's probably changed you, and I believe that incarceration and isolation and stuff like that does change you. I can't even imagine being in jail, but I need you to say what happened. I think I'm having a big problem with that, you all. But I don't want to act all, you know what I'm saying, auntie-ish, you know, about it. So we're going to wait for the story to unravel. I am most curious about how this. So the next person that we see is Kay. Her name is Kay Washington. She is 61 years old. She served 6 years in jail. Her inmate number is 425-851. She was incarcerated on June 21 of 2011. She was incarcerated for forging prescriptions and selling the drugs for profit. Kay goes on to say that she had started using drugs back in the early 70s at 16 years old. She said that she had been in jail off and on for 5 years. She has a son who is named Simone, Simone. And so we're going to call him Little S, okay? She says that when she went to jail, he had just turned 12. She said the day that she served time, the day that she was arrested and started her sentence, she had dropped him off to school. Her sister, Rachel Alexandra, is the one who picked him up from school. How devastating. And he has Down syndrome. So I did the math. And she was 43 years old when she had this child. So, you know, it really shows that it's not just men going to jail, but it's women too. Women who are making a decision to live a life of crime for drugs or whatever the reason is. This woman had been on drugs for years. She said that when she had gotten off of drugs, that she was a counselor and everything. She had been on drugs for like 9 years. And then when she got pregnant with her little S, and she had a C-section with him, they gave her Percocet. And she didn't tell the hospital or tell the doctors that she was a recovering addict, because if she had, they would have never have given her a prescription for Percocet. We see her come out of the jail. We see her talk with one of the guards, who was a loving white woman, and she said, you know, I hope that I've taught you something while you were here. And she was like, you did. And we see her come out of the jail, you know, she's praising God and everything, and she has her counselors and those people who have supported her, you know, gathered around just waiting for her to come out. And we see her sister Rachel kind of, you know, kick back at the car. Rachel's kind of cautious about her sister. I think as she should be. You know, the sister said that she's changed and everything and it's over. I noticed that all of them said it's over. And I guess it's over it's over. The sentence is over. I'm not sure, you know, where that terminology comes from, but I noticed that all 3 of them said that. And the sister said, I hope it's over. I hope, you know, and she says, I changed. And she said, I hope you changed. She said it kind of low, but we caught it. And then she was like, oh, I changed. Okay, I'm hoping you really changed. The sister is cautiously optimistic. They have a celebration. The sister is cautiously optimistic about everything, because she said, I don't really know why we're celebrating. This is she's been in jail 5 times. And so the sister is a little burned. She talked about the condition that her son was in when she got him. She said he was overweight and unhealthy. And she had to break him out of that by taking away sugary things and helping him get his weight together. And we see him now, he's really slim. And, you know, he looks very well. And her son, husband, I believe his name is Richard, took care of this boy. She said he was my child. And even though it's my sister's child, I I don't know if she's ready for this. I don't know if she can take this on. Like what a story. And we see Kay, she's full of fire. She seems like she's the type of person that's like the life of the party. She's got it all together, but sometimes when you think you got it all together, you're right at the door of having a complete and total shutdown. Not that anybody wants her to be dragging and sad, but it seems like there's no connection to what has happened. I'm just saying, it's only my opinion. Kay says that, you know, when she was walking out, she could hear the chains falling. She said 5 years ago, she couldn't hear that. And I just kind of, she said as far as drugs were concerned, that one was too many and 1,000 was not enough. She was extremely addicted to drugs. She says that she feels guilty for contributing to other people's addictions because she was the one who was selling and pilfering the drugs. And she says that the only way that she can get rid of the guilt of that is to change her life. Kay comes home and she starts cooking banana pudding and everything in the house, and the sister is like, you know, trying to help her and trying to give her advice and saying things. The sister's kind of overbearing over her just a little bit, or at least it appears to be that way. But she says, for me, I know she says that she's changed, and I believe that she's changed, but I still see Kay. We go back to Kevin. Kevin is at the airport. He's going through TSA checkpoints, and he only has that one ID, and that ID is his jail ID. We see the TSA agent calling, and he says, you know, at that point now he's fearful. He feels like he's not even part of society, that they're not going to let him board the plane. He hasn't boarded the plane, and he absolutely hasn't boarded the plane, you know, in a long time. And so, you know, she calls for a supervisor. The supervisor comes, and I guess they realize that, you know, he was incarcerated. He tells the young man at the counter that he's ready to. He's been away for 20 years, and he gets in. They approve him to take his flight back home. And in the meantime, they go to the snack bar, and in the snack bar, the cousin, not the snack bar, they go to like a little convenience store. You know how airports have those little convenience stores, and they go into a convenience store, and he sees all the candy and chips and magazines and all of that kind of stuff, and it overwhelms him. He says that he ended up getting a bag of potato chips that they had inside of jail, and a couple of other things that he didn't never taste before. He never knew what they taste like. He didn't, you know, what it even was. He just knew that it was new, and he said he felt like a kid in a candy shop, and my heart just broke. My heart broke. He said he got the potato chips because he had to get something familiar with all the new stuff. Y'all talk about somebody heart broke. My heart broke, and it's breaking even now. It's taking everything I got not to sit up on this camera and cry, because I can't imagine it. He said that he realized that his cousin couldn't even understand what was going on inside of him. Broken. It's a rediscovery for all of them, but especially for him and Jermaine. So anyway, he gets on the plane, and we see him be reunited with his family, and everybody's waiting on him, and he's just overwhelmed by everything, and he gets love when he comes into the household, and he prays and says that he wants to, you know, preach a message. And so he prays and talks and prays for God being good to him and keeping him from losing his mind while he was in jail, and the family is around and they're supposed to be holding hands, but everybody's crying and tissues are going forth and he's crying and he says, I'm not going back. And I looked at one of the statistics and it talked about that, you know, so many, that a quarter percentage of the people who are incarcerated go back within 6 months. And we are rooting and praying that he's not one who's going to go back. So the next thing that we see is we see Jermaine be reunited with his family, and he's looking through old photos, and Darius is there. And prior to Jermaine, Darius is there. And prior to, we see Darius ask his sister, is she coming? And she told him, well, you know what, I'm going to play it by ear. I'll call you if I'm coming. She doesn't come, and later on we see them interview her, and she's like, why would I go and celebrate him being home? I don't celebrate him. It's going to be hard for him to get to his daughter, because first of all, I think that Jermaine has to get to a place where he is not in denial about his role and his responsibility in the death and the murder of an individual. I think that he sees himself involved in his death, but not in his murder. And Darius' little boy is there, because he has a little boy, and he sees his grandson for the first time, and the family is elated. But you know what? Your daughter, Jermaine, your daughter. So we go and we see Kay. Kay's at her party. Everybody's there. The sister comes in from work, Rachel, and she's tired, and Rachel's like, hey, she seems like, if from the outside looking in, she seems like the type of person who just wants a whole lot of attention, and she wants all the attention on her. And I don't know what that's about with Rachel. I just think that Rachel's so frustrated with her sister and really having a hard time processing, is my sister changed? Will this happen again? Will she appreciate all the things that I did for her and her son? Y'all, let me tell you, you have got to watch this show. I, just looked at a pre-screening of it, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Again, this story is going to show the lives of 6 people who were incarcerated, but today we saw 3. I noticed that the sister, came in and just started cooking bread pudding and just doing, just busy, and gave the son a Coke. And Rachel's done. And I don't know if I can blame Rachel. Rachel says, all I see is Kay. I don't see a changed person. I'm hoping that Kay, Kevin, and Jermaine are changed people, but coming back into society is going to be rough. It's going to be rough, and there's going to be some obstacles and some things that they're going to have to overcome. Show enough for real. I know that you all are used to Auntie cracking jokes and all that kind of stuff, but this is just not the closing. Let's get ready to go on this ride. But one thing I can say, and I'm going to close with this song. There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain, to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain.